Today, we will tell you a fantastic story about how a girl brought a little tiger from the forest. He cried and called for mom. People who do not have feelings pass near injured wild animals and don't help them, especially those newborn animals that find themselves alone on the street or in the forest. Marina loves to wander in the forest. This 5-year-old girl grew up in nature, so she loves wildlife. Every day, Marina goes to the forest to collect mushrooms and wild fruits, then runs there amongst the trees and picks flowers, and in the evening she returns home. Still, on the weekends, she spends her day outside the house alone or with her grandmother, who accompanies her sometimes. The girl loves animals very much and helps them, and she totally rejects animals being hurt in front of her eyes. One day, while Marina was wandering through the woods, she stumbled upon a little tiger that was a newborn, alone. The girl noticed that the little animal was exhausted and needed food, and she took it home to help him. Marina lives in a small country house with her grandmother, Alina Ivanovna, who's an orphan. The children's parents had a traffic accident and both died. Marina, who was then 2 years old, was miraculously saved and she was taken to the hospital, and when she recovered, her grandmother took her to live with her. When Marina took the little tiger in her hands, she immediately entered her grandmother's room and told her that she'd brought her a surprise. Still, the grandmother panicked when she saw the animal and asked her granddaughter to immediately return it to the place where she found it because it was dangerous. Marina was very disappointed and went out of her grandmother's room to return the little tiger. Meanwhile, the grandmother noticed that her granddaughter was sad. Since she was always keen to make her happy because she was an orphan, the grandmother ran out and told her that she would allow her to keep the animal, but she had to release him when he grew up and was able to take care of himself. Meanwhile, the girl felt delighted and put the tiger on the ground and ran towards her grandmother and embraced her and kept kissing her because she had allowed the little tiger to stay with her. Now, Grandma was not happy with the little tiger in her home at first, but over time she noticed that it was a cute and fun animal, and it made her granddaughter happy, which made her happy too. The little tiger was calm and peaceful and had been playing with Marina the whole time. A strong friendship developed between them, so they began to eat with each other and sleep in the same room and go out to wander in the garden of the house. The grandmother was only 46 years old, while her granddaughter was 5 years old. She separated from her husband because they didn't get along. The woman was charming, which made some believe that she was Marina's mother. Although most of the men in the village were trying to get close to her, she was focused on taking care of her granddaughter because she did not want to distract her thoughts and let her focus on her studies only. About 4 months with the tiger in the house, the grandmother noticed that her granddaughter had become much more attached to him, but the tiger had also become huge and it had to be returned to the forest in order to live there. The grandmother had tried to keep that tiger for as long as possible with her granddaughter because she considered it a friend. Still, though, as the days went by, neighbors discovered that she had a tiger in her home, and a group of women asked her to release the tiger because it was dangerous. The grandmother decided to release the tiger and then told her granddaughter. The poor tiger realized that he was leaving the house, showing great sadness and not eating that night. He started lying near Marina and didn't sleep the whole night. In the morning, the grandmother got up and dragged the tiger by a chain to his neck and dragged him and her granddaughter into the forest. When they reached a place where Marina first found the tiger, they left it there. But then suddenly, a huge tiger appeared and started approaching them. The grandmother and her granddaughter retreated backwards, frightened, and remained, waiting for that tiger to attack them. But then it turned towards the little tiger and began to caress him while the little animal lay on her lap and began to lick it. The grandmother and her granddaughter realized that the tigress was the mother of the little tiger they kept in the house, and they were overjoyed when the little animal found its mother. The grandmother and her granddaughter returned home. And after days, Marina missed her friend, the little tiger, and she went into the forest to meet him. When Marina met the little animal, she ran towards him, cuddling and playing with him. The tigress watched them and decided not to approach them so that the little girl would not feel afraid. The girl spent the whole day with the tiger and came home at nightfall. There, she found the grandmother waiting for her, worried about her. Although the grandmother had warned her not to go back into the woods again because this might threaten her life, she had insisted on going to meet her friend, and she even brought him home with her and gave him food. Marina was not only feeding the tiger, but she sometimes asked her grandmother to buy her a piece of meat and give it to his mother. The tigress was very grateful to the girl and her grandmother because they had saved her little boy from death, and they continued to accompany him and take care of him even after they found him. A week passed, and the little tiger and its mother did not come to the place where Marina used to meet them. Then the little girl thought that they might have left for another forest to start a life there. One day, while the grandmother was returning from the market with Marina, she found a man parked in front of her door and waiting for her there. The man claimed that he had had an affair with Marina's mother and that he was her actual father. The grandmother was shocked and asked that man to leave her house immediately or she'd call the police. Then she grabbed her granddaughter by the hand, asked her not to listen to what that man was saying, and entered her house. Moments later, the grandmother heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, that man entered immediately, carrying a rifle in his hand, pushing her and dropping her to the ground, then grabbing Marina and pulling her out of the house. Elena tried to defend her granddaughter and get rid of that man, but she could not. And when she tried to scream, he told her he was going to shoot her granddaughter and run away. The grandmother was silent and watched the man as he got her granddaughter into the car. When the man closed the door and got into the car, a tiger attacked from behind, dropping him on the ground, and then began to devour him. Meanwhile, the grandmother ran over to the car, opened the door, pulled out her granddaughter, and entered the house and called the police immediately. After a short time, a police officer arrived, and there they found the man drenched in his own blood where the tiger had slashed his body. It was the mother of the little tiger who Marina rescued. They immediately called an ambulance, and the man was taken to the hospital and then to prison directly. The police officer kept reassuring the condition of Elena and her granddaughter, giving the grandmother his phone number and telling her not to hesitate to call him if she encountered a problem in the future. It turns out that this man wasn't Marina's father. He was a fraudster who kidnapped children and demanded a ransom. The police officer came to visit Elena and her granddaughter for the sake of reassurance. He used to play with Marina, and he got very impressed with the beautiful woman. They got married in a short time, and the grandmother and her granddaughter moved to live with him in his house. That's all for today. Don't forget to share your opinion on this unusual story and help us make this video reach 30,000 views. Do you think it's possible?